Hello students, today let us see Unit 3 Matter around us. Matter. What is matter? Anything which occupies space and has mass is called matter. Anything which occupies space and has mass is called matter. Mass is measure of amount of matter. Mass is measure of amount of matter. Already we studied in the first unit. So mass is measure of amount of matter. The definition of matter. Matter is defined as anything that occupies space and has mass. Matter is defined as anything that occupies space and has mass. Now let us see what are the matter. Let us take a table. If we keep the table in a place, it fills space. And if we lift it, we feel heavy. A table has mass and also occupies space. So table is a matter. Then consider a book. If we lift the book, it is heavy, and keep it on a table, it fills space. A book has mass and occupies space, so book is a matter. Next we take water. Water is also a matter because it occupies space, the water space of the bottle, and it is heavy to lift. The empty bottle is easy to lift, but a water filled, it is heavy. So water occupies space and has mass, so we feel heavy to lift. So water is a matter. Then we take a cylinder as an example, the LPG cylinder in our home. The cylinder is used to fill the gas. The empty cylinder is very easy to lift and move, but a full cylinder is heavy. So the gas also occupies the cylinder and has mass. So gas is also a matter. Okay, next now let us come to the conclusion. Matter is everywhere around us. The air we breathe, the water we drink, and the material we use are made up of matter. So matter is defined as anything that occupies space and has mass. So matter is defined as anything that occupies space and has mass. Now we learnt about matter clearly, then we can arise a question: what is matter made of and what is its nature? Matter is made of atoms. Atoms are the smallest particle of matter. Atoms are very minute particles, so it combine each other to form a bigger particle, that is called as molecule. Atoms is a minute particle, but molecule is a bigger. So molecule is bigger than atom because it is formed by combination of many atoms. So matter is made of atoms. So matter is made of atoms. Now let us see some example. Imagine that piece of brick is broken endlessly using hammer. At one point it will be fine particles. Then it cannot be broken further. That small minute particles have millions of molecules. These molecules are made of atoms. Matter is made of such smallest particles. Matter is made of such smallest particles. Next, let us take another example: water. Water is also made of atoms. That atoms are hydrogen and oxygen. The hydrogen and oxygen atoms are combined to form a H2O molecule. So the molecular formula of water is H2O. Water is made of hydrogen and oxygen atoms. Next we take air. Air is a mixture. Air contains nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, water vapor and dust particles. These are molecules. Air is made of atoms. So all matter is made of extremely smallest particles called atoms. All matter is made up of extremely small particles called atoms. Next, let us learn about three states of matter. Matter is divided into solid, liquid and gases on the basis of two important factors. The matter is divided into three states, that is solid, liquid and gases. Next, let us learn about three states of matter. Matter is divided into solid, liquid and gases on the basis of the important factors. They are the way the particles are arranged, the way the particles attract each other. The way the particles are arranged, the way the particles attract each other. These factors only decide the states of matter. First, let us see the arrangement of particles in solid. The particles are particles of solid are tightly packed. There are very little space between the particles, so it has a definite shape. It looks so hard. Let us take a stone, wood, and a metal. These are so hard to touch. It has a definite shape because the arrangement of molecules are very tightly packed. Next, let us see the arrangement of particles in liquids. Particles of liquids are arranged in a random manner. Random means irregular. The space between the particles is greater than that is in solids. The space is greater between the particles of liquids, so it flows. For example, we take water. If we pour the water in floor, it flows. If we pour the water in floor, it flows. We see the waterfalls from mountains. From mountains, falling water flows on the ground as river and take a path and go on flowing till reach the sea. So water has no definite shape. It can flow due to the arrangement of particles, so it can flows. Next, let us see the arrangement of particles in gases. In gases, the particles are arranged far apart. Far apart means it is arranged in very loosely. The particles are arranged in very loosely. They move freely. The particles in gases also move freely. For example, air moves, that is it blows us wind. Wind is we can do a activity to understand the movement of the air. We light an incense stick and keep it in one corner of the room. After some time, we feel the smell of an incense stick in throughout the room and the outside of the room also. That is because the particles of smoke can move freely and quickly. So we can feel the smell out of the room also. From this activity, we can understand the particles are very loosely packed in gases. This property, the tendency of particles to spread out in order to occupy the available space, is called diffusion. What is a diffusion? The tendency of particles to spread out in order to occupy the available space is called diffusion. The gas also have the diffusion. We can see this property diffusion in liquids also, because liquids have the space between the particles. Now take a glass of water and add a drop of ink carefully at the center. Do not shake. The ink particles move and spread itself in the water. After some time, the ink completely mixing with water. Now we may come to a conclusion. The particles of liquids also can move easily and quickly, so liquids also can diffuse. But we cannot see this property, the diffusion, in solids. Let us place a book on the table. Let it not be disturbed. After observe for minutes. Observe for 5 minutes. The book do not move. The book stays on the table itself. So we have to understand the solids are tightly packed and they do not diffuse like liquids and gases. Hence, ink and smoke spread easily while book stays on the table. So, particles in a solid are tightly packed with very little space between them, like stone. The particles in a liquid are arranged in an irregular manner, like water. Then particles in a gases are loosely packed. They move freely like air. Next, let us see the characteristics of solids, liquids, and gases. First, let us see the solids. Solids have definite shape and volume like stone. A stone does not need a container. It stays as it is because its particles are tightly packed and has a definite shape. Then if we move the stone from the ground to a table or place it on a shelf, its shape and volume does not change. So solids have definite shape and volume. Next, solids are incompressible. Let us fill a syringe with a fine chalk powder. Now try to press the piston down. The piston hardly move in the chalk powder. So solids are not compressible. There is little space between solid particles because the particles are tightly packed. The particles in solid attract each other very strongly because particles of solid cannot move freely. Next, let us see the liquids. Liquids have no definite shape. Liquids get the shape of the vessel in which they are kept. It is compressible to a small extent. Let us fill the syringe with water. Now try to press piston down. It was difficult to press the liquids. Thus, we can conclude that liquids are hardly compressible. The particles of liquids have a greater space between them. Particles are not tightly packed, so they are free to move. The force of attraction between liquid particles is less than solid particles, so these particles move freely. Next, let us see the gases. Gases have neither a definite shape nor a definite volume. That is, it have no definite shape and no definite volume. Gases are highly compressible. Now let us draw the piston back to suck air into the syringe. Then press the piston down. The piston moved freely in syringe. Thus, we can conclude that gases are highly compressible as compared to liquids and solids. The space between the gas particles is the greatest. Particles are very loosely packed. The force of attraction is least between gaseous particles. So, gaseous particles are in a continuous random motion. Next, let us compare the properties of solid, liquid, and gases. And we can see the properties, shapes and volume, compressibility, the space between the particles, attraction between the particles, movement of particles. Let us compare. The first property is shapes and volume. Solids have a definite shape and volume, but liquids have no definite shape and have volume. Liquids have no definite shape and have volume. Gases have no definite shape and no definite volume. The next property is compressibility. Solids are not compressible. Liquids are hardly compressible, but gases are highly compressible. Next property is space between the particles. In solids, there is a little space between the particles because particles in solids are tightly packed. In liquid particles have a greater space between them because particles are not tightly packed. In gases, the space between the particles is the greatest because the particles are very loosely packed. Next, we can see the property force of attraction. In solids, particles attract each other very strongly. The force of attraction between liquid particles is less than solid particles. The force of attraction is least between gaseous particles. Next property is movement of particles. The particles of solid cannot move freely in solids. Particles of liquids move freely in liquids. In gases, particles are in continuous random motion. So this is the summary of properties of states of matter. If we compare and study, we can keep it in mind easily. Next, let us see pure substances and mixtures. Matter can be divided into pure substance and a mixture. A pure substance is made up of only one kind of particles. Pure substance may be elements or compounds. Elements are same kinds of atoms and compounds are two or more elements. Then what is mixture? Mixture is a physical combination of two or more substances. Mixture is a physical combination of two or more substances. A mixture can be divided into homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture. Then let us consider some examples. We all eat snacks. Commonly we take mixture with tea. We can identify the things that are present in the mixture. They are dal, nuts, some grains like aval, puri and some balls of bundi also. We are able to identify the ingredients in mixture because of their colors, appearance and taste. In the same way we can identify the fruit mixture also. They are banana, pineapple, grapes, mango, orange and pomegranate. Pongal is also a mixture because we mix rice, dal, salt, chilies, pepper, ghee and other ingredients to make pongal. Then why do we call these as mixture? Because they are made of two or more ingredients that are physically separable. Because they are made of two or more ingredients, they are physically separable. Air is a mixture because it contains oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, water vapor and dust particles. Milk is also a mixture. It contains water, fat and protein. So a mixture is an impure substance and contains more than one kind of particles. A mixture is an impure substance and contains more than one kind of particles. In the mixture, the components are mixed in any proportion. Next, separation of mixtures. What is meant by separation? The process by which the compounds of mixture are removed from each other to get a pure substance is called separation. The process by which the compounds of mixture are removed from each other to get a pure substance is called separation. Then why do we need to separate mixtures? Separation of mixture is done to remove impurities, to obtain the useful components, to obtain a substance in a highly pure form. To remove, first thing, to remove impurities. To remove impurities. Why do we remove impurities? Because the impurities are harmful substance. So we have to remove. For example, stones from rice. Stones are harmful impurity. So we have to remove the stones from the rice. Otherwise we are affected by the stomach pain. Next, to obtain the useful components. What is useful components? For example, petrol. Petrol is a useful component. We get petrol in a pure form. We do not get the petrol in pure form. We get the petrol in a petroleum form only. So we have to refine the petroleum to get the petrol. So we have to purify the substance. Next, to obtain the substance in a highly pure form. Example, gold. Gold from gold mines. Gold is a pure form. We get gold also from refining the ores of gold. Then methods of separation. The separation method may be based on particle size, shape and physical state, that is solids, liquids and gases. Let us see some of the separation methods. They are filtering, sieving, churning, threshing, winnowing, hand picking, magnetic separation, sedimentation and decantation. First let us see the filtering method. In our day-to-day life we are using filtering method. Every day mom make tea for us. Mom used a strainer to remove the tea leaves to get the clear liquid. Larger sized particles of tea leaves will be retained by the strainer while the clear liquid will pass through. This method is called filtering. Next, sieving. In this method a sieve is used. It is just like a strainer. Using this method we can separate solid particles of different sizes. For example, we can separate rava from flour using a sieve. Rava is large sized particles, flour is fine powder. So when we are sieving, rava retain in the sieve and the flour pass through it. Next method is churning. Churning is used to separate very fine insoluble solids from liquids. This method is used to separate the very fine insoluble solids from liquids. Using this method, we can separate butter from curd. The mixture is churned vigorously when solid butter will be collected on the sides of the vessel. Both butter and buttermilk obtained after churning are useful and we can consume. Then next method is threshing. Threshing. This method is used in agriculture in the paddy and millets field. The separation of grains from their stalks is called threshing. The separation of grains from their stalks is called threshing. When we pluck flowers from plants, we are separating the flowers from their stalks. But we cannot do the same for the food grains like rice and wheat because the grains are small in size and also the quantity is very large. So farmers separate grains from their stalks by beating them hard. The grains are separated from their stalks. This is called threshing. Next method is winnowing. Winnowing. Winnowing means this is used for removing the lighter solids from heavier ones. The rice, wheat, and other food grains are covered with husk. The husk is also called chaff. The lighter husk is very light and gets easily blown away by the wind. So the threshing is done by dropping the mixture slowly from a height in the presence of wind. Lighter solids, that is husk, will be carried by the wind and will be collected in a separate heap, while heavier solids, that is grains, will fall closer and form a separate heap. Okay, then next let us say hand picking. Hand picking method. This method is used to separating solids by hand. Often we use this method in our day-to-day life. We take an example. When we go to a market, we buy some onions, tomato, chili, potato, carrot, beans, etc., and put this in a single bag only. After we return to home, we separate all vegetables by hand and store it in a refrigerator. This is the best example for hand picking. Next, magnetic separation method. The separating magnetic substances using a magnet is called magnetic separation. In a mixture containing iron and other substances, the iron things can be separated by using a magnet. For example, some bell beans in a glass of water. How do we take a bell beans without touching the water? If we bring the magnet top of the glass and the pins attracted by the magnet, so we can take the pins without touching water. The next method is sedimentation. Settling down the suspended insoluble and heavy solid particles is called sedimentation. Settling down of suspended insoluble and heavy solid particles is called sedimentation. This method is used to separate solid liquid mixtures. Next, decantation. Decantation is a process of pouring out the clear supernatant liquid without disturbing the sediment. Decantation is a process of pouring out the clear supernatant liquid without disturbing the sediment. Rice and pulses are often mixed with very fine straws, husk and dust particles which have to be removed before cooking. To remove these particles, rice or pulses are washed in water. The lighter impurities float while heavier rice grains sink to the bottom. This is called sedimentation. The water with the impurities is carefully poured down, leaving clean rice at the bottom. This is called decantation. We can separate mud from muddy water using the methods sedimentation, decantation, and followed by filtration. Next, filtration. What is filtration? The process of separating insoluble solid particles from a liquid by using a filter paper is called filtration. The process of separating insoluble solid particles. Insoluble solid particles are called residue from a liquid. Liquid is called the filtrate. By using a filter paper is called filtration. Next, let us see the food adulteration. What is adulteration? Making things impure by the addition of a harmful substance is called adulteration. Making things impure by addition of a harmful substance is called adulteration. Any adulterated food, when consumed, will be harmful and can be health hazard. An adulterated substance will not indicate the true properties of the original substance. For example, used tea leaves are sometimes used as adulterants in tea. Then next turmeric powder is also adulterated with a bright yellow chemical which is poisonous to us. So we must be careful about the common adulterants in our consumable goods, especially in food. Thank you.